Hello, and welcome to another episode of Sharing Wisdom. I'm your host, Angie Wisdom, and today we're talking about being a happier human. My guest is Skye Michiels. He's the former head coach at Compass, now the CEO of Coaching with Heart. He also leads the Happier Human Call, and he's got a pretty unique perspective on how he approaches growth and professional development, all heart centered.
All right, Skye. Anyone who hosts a group called Happier Human, I mean, it's just going to be an exciting conversation. Who doesn't want to be part of a Happier Human group here?
Exactly. I think everyone needs to join. So,
And your laughter and your smile says it all. I know when we first met, it was like, you're talking about with heart coaching and you're talking about the happier human. And I feel like I can get very few words out of you without a smile or a laugh. Like you just embody everything that you talk about from this like happier standpoint and just, being a happy human and having heart in everything that you do. So the burning question, was it always like that for you?
it's a great, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those funny things. Like I think my default makeup is positivity. You know,
Uh-huh.
we growing up, we grew up poor, right? Like we did not have any money, food, like oh 9 yards,
Yeah.
right? And the irony is, I never felt poor until the day that my mom filled out my financial application form for college. And that was the first time
Okay.
I was like, wait, that's how much money we have? Like that's what we survive on. And I got a paper out at 12. I've been working and we'd work in each summer. I would work in the winter. I'd play sports in the fall and the spring. Anyways, bottom line is like my mom taught us that you never were out of the fight. You were never, life was about like just making whatever you had the best it possibly could be. And
Mm,
she never said the word no, right? And even if it meant we had to work extra hard or fundraise extra money or whatever it was, so I grew up with this idea that there was nothing that I couldn't accomplish or do or have. And all I had to do was, put my mind to it, work hard, have fun doing it. And that's sort of the way I've like approached most aspects of my life is,
that's amazing.
yeah,
I mean, what an upbringing.
I know, feel very
Your
lucky.
mom, your mom did a good job. Yeah, yeah. So, you had that from the very beginning. You've embodied it. So, is it safe to say that life has just been this smooth and easy, successful uphill trajectory that is just, gotten better and better every day?
It's safe to say life has gotten better and better every day. It is not safe to say that it's been smooth, easy. It's
Okay.
um, I've gone
Trying to
through.
ruffle the feathers here, the happier human. I'm like, give me some stuff here, Scott.
Well, again, I think the key thing about this is that the guarantee is life is going to challenge you,
Yeah.
and the way that I sort of try to approach it is that how can I be unconditionally happy? Meaning, as long as I'm like grounding myself, as long as I'm taking care of myself and I'm putting things into perspective, that as things happen, like getting divorced, like having to move into an apartment and move 3 times after getting divorced, like growing up poor, like you name it. There's all these things that have happened in my life that are challenges, but as I go through these challenges, I go through them with this vibe and energy that this is actually opportunity as well.
Yeah.
So, divorce is a great example where it still is extremely challenging in many ways, but it's very amicable. But I made it a point that as we were going through this divorce, I was like, we're going to make this the best divorce we possibly can have, you know,
Hmm.
and not to say it's easy, but at the end of the day, we do have a choice of how we approach life and how we approach challenges. And my choice is I get to choose that I'm going to approach it with positivity and energy and vibrancy. And there's going to be bad days, there's going to be good days. But at the end of the day, my choice every day is the fact that I get to choose to be happy and positive, and the way that I approach the problems is my choice.
Yeah, I love that. It's so empowered, and I can hear the intentionality
Yeah.
in what you're saying there. And I'm curious, does that come up in everything that you do? Because in order to have choice, or when you have choice, it really kind of frames up like, okay, well, what are my choices here? And what am I going to do? Where I think
Yeah.
a lot of people walk around in kind of that autopilot mode. and it doesn't appear that they have a choice. But when you have choices, it allows you to be really intentional. I mean, even the way you just framed that divorce, like, well, we're going to have the best divorce ever, and we're going to make this the best experience that we can. Is that something that you practice, this intentionality in everything that you do?
Yeah, yeah, and happiness is a practice, not a
Mm,
given, right? And I think, especially in this day and age, like we are bombarded by messages of happiness just sort of comes automatically, and it's a farce, right? We actually have to develop tactics, techniques, and practices around this: gratitude, journaling, meditating, working out, eating right, you know, practicing being present, detaching from technology, all this stuff. And again, it doesn't need to be all of that, but you have to actually work at developing this practice, mainly because of the fact that I think we are bombarded by messages of perfection at all turns. You know, TV, social media, you know, any movies, etc. All we're
hmm
staring at perfection, and we have this expectation in our minds, like, wait, it should just happen automatically, and it doesn't. You actually
Yeah.
have to build your practice just like you would build your body or your health or your, you know, whatever it might be. Happiness, I often say this, like happiness is a practice that you have to practice every day.
And I want to get into the specifics on that in a minute, but first, kind of take me back to I want to kind of tie this together for people who are listening. You are the former head of coaching at Compass. You created some great programs, the 6 a.m.ers, and then the Happier Human. So I'm wondering, was there a need that you saw in the way that you lived and what you chose and practiced every day to kind of fill this need or this hole for agents out there going, gosh, there's a better way to do this? Like, what made you create the 6 a.m.ers or the Happier
Yeah.
Human?
Yeah. So, well, the 6 a.m.ers I created in COVID, and the
Mm,
origin of the 6 a.m.ers actually goes back to the 5 a.m.ers, which I created with one of my best friends, Jake Dreyfus, when I was getting divorced. And when I was going through my divorce, you know, I was in a bad space, right? I was not, it wasn't a good time, you know, and even though, again, I had this commitment, I was like, I'm going to make it the best. It still was challenging. So
sure.
one of my best friends, Jake, is like, hey, you know, I'm going to start texting you at 5 a.m. and we'll both wake up at 5 a.m. We'll go work out. All we got to do is text each other, hey, I'm awake. I'm awake. So we started doing this for a month, and I started to get back into the gym, and I started to eat right. I was waking up early. You know, 5 a.m. is early. And we're
Mm-hmm.
like, this is cool. I feel so much better. So we started out and we said, you know what, we're going to send an email to our office. We were working at a KW at the time. And we're like, hey, we're starting a group called the 5 a.m.ers. All we're going to do is wake up and we're going to hop on a Zoom call on Tuesday and Thursday. And, you know, we don't really know what we're going to do, but does anyone want to join? And we had 10 people join this original group of the 5 a.m.ers. And every month it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And we did that for about 18 months. And then he moved to Colorado. I ended up moving to Compass. So we sort of, you know, the group sort of ebbed away, we'll say, you know, naturally. And
Mm-hmm.
this is going back into 2018. And then, you know, everything is great. World is alive, vibrant. We're building Compass. And then COVID hits. And we were locked in our houses. And if you remember COVID, I'm sure a lot of people on this call do. We were having happy hour Zoom calls at 4 o'clock,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
drinking wine. And when you start drinking at 4 o'clock and you're stuck in a house, especially with two young kids, you know, that one or two glasses of wine became a bottle, became let me binge watch TV. And I don't need to get up, you know, early because I don't have to get the kids to school. So, you know, anyway, so it was just like 3 weeks of uncontrollable life. I
Mm,
got really frustrated at the way I was approaching it and also just at the world in general. So I took my experience doing the 5 a.m.ers. I was like, you know, I'm going to do this inside a Compass. So I just sent an email to my office. I said, hey, now luckily it's COVID. So I was like, you know what, let's do 6 a.m. Thank God I did.
yeah.
So I was like, I'm starting the 6 a.m.ers. And again, same situation, just started inside my office and then it grew to the region. And then other sales managers started hearing about it. So it just slowly grew this organic way. And over time, I found a partner on the West Coast, Emily Bossert. So we had a West Coast group, an East Coast group. And every Tuesday and Thursday, we would get on a call at 6 a.m. East Coast, 6 a.m. West Coast on Tuesday and Thursday. And it was this beautiful community of people just working at, interviewing, being positive, meditating. We had similar to what you saw the Happy Human. We'd have guests on. And what I realized in that whole process is that I can't save anyone. I can't, solve anyone else's problems. But what I can do is I can be this really bright and powerful light for other people. And I can bring so much to the table that people can hopefully be inspired by, consume, learn from, that I don't
Mm-hmm.
need to save anyone else. And I call this a concept of being the light so I can give the light, right? A lot of
Mm,
people give away their light instead of just building their own so bright that it
sure.
naturally is given to other people. And 6 Amers, we had over, I want to say it was over 5,000 people sign up for at least a month of the training. And then, part of my decision to leave Compass was the fact that I really missed going deep with people, in my
Mm-hmm.
role as a head of coaching. I was able to, impact a lot of people, thousands of people at a time, but unfortunately no one in a deep level. And
Yeah.
in addition, I was sort of, again, I was not living the healthiest life because I was on a plane every week. I was traveling, and then it was just balancing that with my kids getting older. I just recognized like this is not the life that is making me happy anymore. So I
Yeah,
had
it
to make.
sounds like you really dug into those values and decided what
I
was
did.
part of that North Star in your compass there.
I did. And again, every
Yeah.
journey, every chapter of your life has a beginning and an end. And it was sort of the end of that chapter of my life and the beginning of a new chapter forming this coaching company with Heart Coaching.
Yeah. So sticking with the 6 a.m.ers for a minute, like what do you find that brings for people? I know I've been on the call as a
Yeah.
guest and I have never done 6 a.m. calls before. I mean, yes, with a one-on-one client if I had to because of the time differences, but like
Yeah.
it's a funny thing to see, like
Yeah.
people there's somebody on their Peloton. There's some, you know what I mean? Some people are dressed, some people are still lounging around in the morning. So what is the community and what do you think people are seeking? And this even can kind of go to the Happier Human now that you host is like, what is this community wanting and what is helping them find
Yeah.
that joy and motivation there?
Um, so we had one rule inside of 6 Amers, and that was to have fun.
Yeah.
I think it encapsulates your question of what are they seeking.
Yeah.
People we just want to have fun and we want to be joyful and happy. And again, inside of real estate, like they're being bombarded all day with quote unquote coaching and tactics
Mm-hmm.
and this and that. But if you survey almost every realtor, they know what to do, but they're not doing it because they're blocked, they're overwhelmed, they're confused, they're right. So in many ways, what the 6 Amers did and now the Happier Human does is let's not worry about like the email you need to send or the open house you need to hold. Let's actually worry about getting you into this energetic state of joy and love and fun and happiness. So then you're motivated and all this stuff that feels heavy is actually light and easy,
Mm-hmm.
float. And so I think that's what the group does. It's almost this like vacation, so to speak, at 6 a.m., right? Where you don't need
Yeah.
to worry about, knowing how to do the tactic. You don't need to worry about how much money am I making. You don't need to worry about all the what award am I winning. The one thing you need to worry about is actually having fun.
Huh.
And it's a beautiful concept when we think about most of the groups we're a part of. It's not about just having fun and being joyful. It's about doing something or accomplishing something. So it's something that I take a lot of pride in and like, okay, I'm going to actually be this ball of fun and energy and laughter and, love and connection, et cetera, to a lot of people. So then they can take that, what a little piece they're going to take and bring it into their world. And how can we, like, again, spread this light all across the world, so to speak, just by having fun.
Right, right. So interesting. I mean, you're kind of going that dopamine route, let me give you a little hit of dopamine, bring some joy in your life, and then all the circuitry starts working better, and the things that you really need to do that maybe you didn't want to do become easier.
That's right. Exactly right. So
Love it. Okay, so you left Compass and you transition, and now you have, you're the CEO of With Heart Coaching. And you mentioned a minute ago, like I didn't get to go deep enough and you missed that. And obviously, even from what you're saying, being joy and being light is one thing, but really being able to go deep one-on-one with people to create, life-changing and needle-moving action is a little bit different.
it is. And again, it's like one of those things that I think when you're surface for too long and you're an empath or a really deep person that thrives on creating change in people, when
Hmm.
I'm, I would only know if I had an impact if someone like came up to me at an event or said, "Oh my God, thank you so much." Like, you never really were able to witness the change. And now
Mm,
forming this coaching company and doing what I do today, pretty much every day, I'm actually able to be a witness or a partner in the change that people are creating in their lives. And
sure.
well, I'll say the thing my ego misses, that like being in front of 5,000 people at a time, right? Or thousands of people. Like, that's a great little ego boost. My soul, my heart thrives on one-on-one, on
Mm,
connection, on creating change. And again, it's one of those things of always being able to like disconnect from your ego and saying, all right, that's ego, and how do I actually say that? It really doesn't, that's not important. This is what's important.
hmm.
Being able for my kids when they walk in the door from school is important. Being able to not be exhausted on the weekend, from traveling to California and getting up at 3 a.m. to do the 6 a.m. call is important, etc. So it's just one of those things that, you know, it's a true gift to be able to wake up every day and do what I do now. And I feel
Hmm.
very lucky that, I don't really work. I just play all day.
What do they say? If you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. Is that the expression?
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
So your happier human obviously is still going on. Do you bring that into all of your coaching though, even on a deep dive with people and creating a different type of change? What are the kind of the foundational principles of
Yeah.
what you coach around that's so impactful?
Yeah, absolutely. So even in a one-on-one, like, I'm always bringing in, we start out by talking about what's going to make you happy in life,
Hmm.
in business, because at the end of the day, like most, I don't want to generalize too much, but a lot of real estate coaches are very prescriptive with tactics and like, do this,
Sure.
send this email, call 100 people. But at the end of the day, if someone is unhappy, or we're not addressing some of the root causes of why they're not taking the action, it's just like a short-term prescription drug, right? Like,
Hmm.
it's very similar to like the drug industry or pharmaceutical industry saying, "Oh, you have high blood pressure? Here, take a pill." But we're not
Right.
addressing, what causes that. Oh, you're overweight by 50 pounds, 100 pounds, right? Oh, you're eating fast food every night. Like, let's address these root causes. You don't even need the drug. And that's, I think, this process of infusing, the human element into my coaching, in addition to the business and the real estate and tactics, et cetera. So when we think about a thing such as CRM as an example, I coach to organizing our CRM. Not a lot of agents will organize it based on past clients, or, these people did business with me. These people I want to do business with me. I actually recommend people organize their CRM based on how they feel about people.
Mm,
What it does, it frees people because it really aligns with who you are as a human being. Our human relationships are organized around how we feel about people. Let's align our business relationships and communication marketing around how we feel about certain segments of people. And this frees you up to be the authentic human being you are. And it's just a great example of always infusing humanity into business in every angle that we can practice it.
Well, I'm really curious, like what kind of sections do we have here about how you feel? I mean,
Yeah,
how
great.
are we grouping these feelings?
Yeah, getting tactical. My sphere A people are people I love. My
Okay.
sphere B people are people I like. My
Uh-huh.
sphere C people are people I don't know about, don't know who they are, or don't care about. And
Gotcha.
most agents, because what happens is an agent organizes it as my sphere A are the people that bought a home with me or sold a home with me, but I don't really
Mm-hmm.
like them.
Yeah, right.
So now they get frozen, or they're like, well, B is people I think might buy a home with me, but I'm not sure, right? And what happens is when we go to do like outreach or we, hey, you should call your sphere A people and you see the name on there you don't like, it's like, ugh. Or
Mm-hmm.
the categorization debate comes up where maybe, let's see, maybe they're a C, maybe they're an A, maybe they're. And instead organizing your CRM and you could look at a name and say, oh, I love that person. Oh, I like that person. Or I have no idea who this even is.
Right, right.
And now you get to create marketing and outreach activities not based around what you think they might do or are they going to buy,
Mm-hmm.
all these things that we are impossible to predict anyways. Now we
Right.
get to base it around how we feel about someone. So
Yeah.
if I can do a client event and I don't need to worry about inviting thousands of people that I don't know. All I need to worry about is inviting the 50 people I love.
Hmm. Interesting. It's really
Yeah,
taking away the uncontrollables and focusing on what you can control, which is how you feel.
it's exactly right. So,
Yeah.
and it
So,
frees agents up. It makes them
yeah,
just liberated in many ways.
I'm
So,
sure. Well, you definitely, when you do that, you're bridging this gap in your mind to like not have this um, kind of conflict on what
yeah,
you need to do with someone you don't really want to do it with, that kind of thing. Like I have to call,
yeah,
but this person is in there, so you really kind of clean up and have integrity within your database that you're excited about. So
exactly.
I can see that that relates back to coaching with heart coaching, right? Like it's connected to you how you feel. What other things are very specific to the way you feel or heart based that maybe aren't the norm for other people?
Yeah. We don't really coach too much cold calling because of the fact that, again, I'm not saying that's not a great tactic. But I also know what I do really well, which is actually develop relationship based sales skills,
Hmm.
which, by the way, you can use with people you don't know as well. Um,
Sure.
so, in many ways, like if you are an agent who is really seeking this hardcore cold calling training, it just is not who I am, and it's not what I coach or teach. Not to say it's bad, it's just not my skill set or my authenticity. So I think the
Hmm.
other thing we infuse is always making sure real estate is an art form in many ways, and your authenticity is the paint you use to paint your picture. So a lot of agents get really bogged down with comparison mindset, especially given social media, especially given the fact that most of them have ADD tendencies of chasing the shiny penny, right, or the
Hmm.
squirrel syndrome. And in many ways, all we need to do is go back into who they are as an authentic person, and then create a business that aligns with their authenticity, not with another person's authenticity. So that's
Hmm.
a really key calling card of what we do here with Heart Coaching is to help people develop relationship-based sales skills that align with their authenticity. So an example of this, building off of the ABC system, I call this climbing the ladder of the ABCs. Angie, what's one thing you love to do? What's something you'd love to do?
Compete, play games.
Play games. So an example of this would be you could create marketing or outreach. To your A people, you're going to invite to game night at your
Right.
house. Your sphere B people, you're going to create like a coupon to go buy a really fun board game, at a store, and you're going to send that out more individually via text or email. In your newsletter to your C's, you're going to say, here are three of my favorite games I'm playing right now. So, we infuse our authenticity into the marketing, or AKA climbing the ladder of the ABCs.
Mm,
Notice
gotcha.
I'm not even talking about real estate. It's my A's.
Right, right.
My B's, not even that much real estate. I'm probably going to send a Monopoly, so there's a little touch of real estate in there. And then the C's, I'm just marketing to the C's because I don't know them, you know.
Sure, sure.
And
Love it,
it's a
love it.
really great way of infusing authenticity into anyone's marketing.
Mm. Just sounds more fun and lighter,
Then
happier.
what's the one rule? Have fun.
Right, right.
Yeah.
What made, I mean, you were in real estate yourself.
Yeah.
What made you transition out of that and get into coaching?
I had so I got into real estate in 2002, and I was very, very successful. I grew a team, and starting in 2013, I grew a team, and in 2017 we did 242 transactions,
Wow.
over 12 agents and 4 full-time admin. So I was running really, really hard, and unfortunately, I also was getting divorced at the time. So
Mm,
there was almost this like combination of burnout combined with a life change need, right? I called I'm 100% dad 50% of the time. So the reality of our arrangement, our custody arrangement was I couldn't just go and be on a listing appointment and it's going, oh, hey, I'm going to be an extra hour. I'm sorry. Like, no, like, I had my kids. I
yeah,
couldn't on the weekends. I couldn't show houses. I couldn't, function as a real estate professional. So I was really I was trying to figure out what is this next chapter. And again, whatever your belief system is, the universe sort of came into play. Compass was launching in Philadelphia and they needed someone to head, the launch and the company inside of Pennsylvania, eventually New Jersey and Delaware as well. So I became
mm,
in 2018, I became the managing director of Compass in PA, New Jersey, and Delaware. But it was a really hard decision because I was also a part owner in my Keller Williams branch
hmm.
that I helped, form. So I had to give up. It was a challenging decision because of the fact I did have to give up a lot to make the transition, but the opportunity was very exciting. And again, in looking back, like I'm so thrilled that I made the choices I made because of the fact it brought me to this where I'm sitting today and being able to do what I do today.
Meant to be.
It was meant to be. Again, the universe always watches out for you.
Yes, yes. I want to ask you kind of two questions as we wrap up here. One, you mentioned the word burnout.
Yeah.
So you experience that. The industry as a whole experiences that on a wide, big, massive level, especially
Yes.
when the market is very active. What are 2 to 3 things that you would tell, could be agents, but even anyone really, in kind of
Yep.
avoiding that burnout?
Yeah. The first thing I would say is this: adopt a mindset, and this is a term I coined inside of 6 Amers and that I use to this day of being healthy selfish. So, the
Mm-hmm.
word selfish is sort of carries a negative connotation, but when we put the word healthy in front of it, it allows us to say, you know what, I'm going to be really selfish about my health,
Yeah.
and and this is something that for people that are really high performing entrepreneurs or business owners, often we sacrifice our health for performance, but the reality
Mm-hmm.
is as we do that our performance decreases. So there's a faith you need to have and a knowledge that you need to have that the healthier you are, the better you perform and the easier you create. So
Mm,
the first thing for anyone listening is what can you do to increase your healthy selfishness, right? And whether that means waking up early and getting to the gym, or whether it's meditating or hiring a coach or a therapist or whatever it might be, it's different for every person. But where in my life am I actually feeling lack or unhealthiness? And then how can I get selfish about it?
mm-hmm.
Right. And that's I use it all the time. And there's many times where I'm stressed out. I'm like, oh my God, I have a presentation. I'm not really ready. But you know what? I'm going to go work out rather than hop on the computer. I work out, I come back and it's like, what would it take me an hour of you know, like rolling around? I'm
Right.
like cloud nine and I bang it out in 10 minutes. It's like, wow, thank God I solved that problem by going to work out, AKA being
Right. Right.
selfish. The second thing is don't buy into the myth of balance. meaning life is about actually being imbalanced, but recognizing where you are in that moment and embracing it and loving it. So, for example, a lot of people want to create quote unquote balance when balance means doing everything equally. So, if you're working really hard, you can't really play really hard. It doesn't really work. It's almost like a seesaw.
Mm-hmm.
But if you remain in that state of work too long or rest too long, it doesn't work. So you have to figure out this method of creating imbalance in your life and being able to flow in and out of sort of the cycles of life. So when I'm working really hard, and when I'm playing really hard. But when I'm playing, I'm not regretting not working, and when I'm working,
Right.
I'm regretting not playing. If that
Love
makes
it.
sense. So
Yeah, absolutely.
a huge concept
So
because I think we're fed this message: create balance, create balance, create balance, and we're like, I can't do it. Well, you can't do it because it's impossible. You
I
know,
always say you have to define your balance. I'm all for creating balance, but like, what does that mean to
what
you?
does that
You
mean?
know, it doesn't, to me, balance, maybe by definition, you think it has to be equal, but I don't think that it does. It's like,
Yeah,
what does balance look like in your life? And I think
perfect.
that's what you're saying there, right? What does it look like for you instead of this 50-50 type of thing?
Yeah.
Okay,
And then maybe
so
I
to be
give
that
you
healthy.
one
Yeah,
more,
go ahead.
which is my favorite saying. It's be where your feet are.
Yes,
Be where
presence.
your feet are. And is not my, I don't know who gave that to me, but I've been using it for years. And, we have massive levels of regret about our past. We have lots of levels of anxiety about our future, but when we're where our feet are and we cherish this spot we're in, that's where we create happiness,
Hmm.
because if we're looking back or we're looking forward, we're not looking where we're at. And where you are, where your feet are, is the only place you can create happiness.
100%.
Yeah.
Present moment. It's where all the joy is.
Ah, so good.
Love it. Love it. There goes that smile. All right, now rapid fire for me. Before
Shoot.
we wrap up, three things that make you happier human on a daily basis.
My kids,
Okay.
um, working out
Uh-huh.
and smiling.
I love it. There's science behind that, you know.
Yeah. There
Yeah.
is.
That's why you smile so much. See? If if you take one thing from this podcast, you all just start smiling more. Just start smiling.
Yeah,
I love
exactly.
it. Skye, you truly are a light out there for sure. I love your energy and everything that you bring to the community in helping people be happier humans, but also just a different trajectory and a path of creating that life that you love and creating success. It's very, very refreshing. Tell people where they can find you if they're like, I need more of that laughter and that smile.
The easiest spot would probably be my website, which is withheartcoaching.com.
Okay.
Um, Off of that, my Instagram is a space that I love and I interact with, and I try to put lots of positivity out there in the world on Instagram. So my handle is at Skye, Skye, Michiels, Michiels. And then you could always email me at Skye, Skye, at withheartcoaching.com.
Love it. He's out there, you all. Connect with him. I promise you will not regret it. Just having a conversation and talking to him, you can feel the energy and truly believe that that is how you're creating happier humans. So
Thank you,
thank you
Anne.
for all that you do, Skye.
Thank you for all you do, and you do the same across this world. So it's great, coast to coast. We're creating
Thanks.
happiness.
We are.